What's going on, everybody? Frontstretch.com coming at you from Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama, where we just saw the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix. We've got Tony Donohue, Christopher DeHarde, and Alex Gintz here. We've got way too much to talk about, no idea where to start. Let me go to you first, Tony. What was it that worked for Scott McLaughlin and Team Penske today, aside from starting on pole? Because it didn't look obvious at first.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good here. He obviously won last season. Joseph Newgarden's got a couple wins here as well for Team Penske. I think going into the weekend and kind of just flushing out what's happened earlier in the week with obviously the penalties that went back to St. Pete and like the push to pass saga, whatever you want to call it. It's put to rest. McLaughlin's really good here. Birmingham and the Indianapolis GP road course always seem to go well with the European-style driver. Scott McLaughlin obviously coming over. Alex Palou won his first career race here too. So I think this just really fits his style, the sweeping turns, the elevation changes. Good day for Scott McLaughlin and that meat wagon for Team Penske.
Good day for the meat wagon and Dean, a good track to make a bit of a rebound on. You know, Christopher, what does this mean not just for McLaughlin but for Team Penske in general after all the controversy and whatnot that they've been embroiled in the past week or so?
Well, when you look at where McLaughlin started the weekend, he started the weekend with, 5 points, I think, because he had a mechanical failure at Long Beach. He got the pole, he led the most laps, and he won, so that's, 54 points. So he went from having 5 points to 59 points. He's now ninth in the championship standings, which is pretty high compared to where he was. He went from, 29th to 9th, and they're chasing us. No, I'm kidding. He went from 29th to 9th. And Will Power, his teammate, is now only 1 point behind Colton Herta, who is at the top of the points with 101 points. Power, obviously, that would make him second at 100 points. But overall, fantastic weekend for Team Penske for the most part. And there was some adversity for Power as well. I think he had to do an engine change after the morning warm-up on Sunday morning, or rather this morning, I guess you could say. So we had to deal with that. And, of course, he had the point penalty as well from St. Petersburg. But they got through it, and ultimately teams that are at the top of their game find a way to win, even though there is adversity. Also, definitely give a shout-out to Linus Lundqvist. Mm-hmm. He finished in third place, which Rob Howden tweeted me after the race. In all the races he's done here at Barber throughout his junior ladder career, he has never once finished off of the podium, whether it was Formula Regional Americas, Indy Next. Let me put $1 in the swear jar there. And now in IndyCar, his first ever podium finish. I think this is Will Power's 100th career podium, if the stat I saw was correct.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, fantastic job by Lundqvist, and not bad for a guy who had to spend the first 2/3 of last year on the sidelines after winning the then Indy Lights Championship in 2022. Not bad at all. Playing the long game worked for him.
For sure. And, look at Ganassi right now. They're bringing Marcus Armstrong on full-time after he took Rookie of the Year last year running part-time. This might be, though, a bit of a revenge tour for Linus Lundqvist after being sort of, left out in the cold after winning the Indy NXT Championship. Normally brings you on to the grid in IndyCar. So, Tony, is it too soon to tell if this is going to be Lundqvist's kind of chance to break out a bit behind schedule?
A couple things that I liked about their run today, and I mean, he was fired up too. Him and Romain Grosjean had a few run-ins during practice. This is the guy, like Chris mentioned, was spotting with me for Indy Next races last year and didn't have a ride until obviously later in the season when the opportunity came up with Meyer Shank. Let's not forget, this is the 8 car at Chip Ganassi, right? This is a car that Marcus Ericsson won with last year at St. Pete, won the Indianapolis 500 with a few years ago. This is a really good race car underneath Linus. He has the talent to do it. He has the drive to do it. And I talked to Taylor Kyle right after the race today with Chip Ganassi Racing, and I said, hey, when we talked in October, you kind of had, there's going to be a growth period with the 4 car and the 8 car with Kiffin and Linus, and even Armstrong in the 11. And I said, you got to feel like you're a little bit ahead of schedule. He goes, oh, absolutely. It's a great feeling, and we are ahead of schedule, which is what I've been talking about, and I know Chris knows this too. And it started a couple weeks ago with the test, even got rained down. Just the momentum for the month of May. You want to have that momentum. You want to have that camaraderie. Look, we're going into the month of May, and the only team in the paddock that hasn't changed anything from a year ago is Team Penske. Every other team has gained a new driver, let go of a team. You think of Andretti down to 3 cars. So there's a lot of change that's going into this month of May. So the last couple of races is something that has been exciting to watch. I thought today's race was awesome. There's different strategies. Santino Ferrucci, we haven't even mentioned him. Finishes 6th. Started this morning. I ran into him at Buc-ee's, led some laps, was feeling good, looked good. We talked to him after the race. You can check it out on the YouTube page for Frontstretch. But just cool to see some drivers up there, you guys, that haven't really been up there battling for podiums and leading laps over the last year or so.
You know, momentum is really important in a series this competitive, but sometimes it doesn't go forward or sideways. Sometimes it goes straight down into the ground from a bridge, and we've got to have a bit of fun and talk about that. You know, I was told by
Mannequin fell off of the bridge right in front of Ferrucci. He had a Code Brown moment.
And I was told by a golf cart driver yesterday that you need to think of this track sort of like a sculpture garden with a racetrack dropped into it. And Scott McLaughlin over here, who was kind enough to talk to us yesterday, mentioned in the post-race presser that he kind of thought it was just a matter of time before that Mannequin went coming off the bridge onto the track. That just adds to the crazy unique nature of this track, though. I mean, Barber has really done something incredible with this huge development that was then kind of, handed over to Alabama to do as they wish with. Is there any track that really can reliably put on a show on the IndyCar calendar like this, outside of the Speedway?
I don't think so. You mentioned earlier, it's a very unique track. I mean, Dr. Barber, George Barber? He definitely does not want you to think this is a normal place. I mean, you look at Charlotte's Web, turn 6, the big hairpin. Oh, this should be turn 5. I hate how they number those corners here. There's a big sculpture of a spider out there, and it still to this day kind of freaks me out a little because I'm not really a big spider person. Yeah, tell me about it. But then to see the Mannequin just fall from the bridge like that, I gotta wonder though, for next year, are they going to have another Mannequin there? Or are they going to just leave it blank like that? Or are they going to have another Mannequin up that's going to be off to the side of the track, more to the side, so that it doesn't fall closer to the track? We've seen a lot of strange things in IndyCar racing over the last several years. And
just when you think you've seen it all, you haven't.
Yeah, that's got to be the strangest thing I think I've ever seen at a racetrack over the last several years. I mean, Tony, can you think of another one that's even stranger than that or comes close?
To the first point, I mean, Barber's a beautiful place.
100%.
Some people have said it's like the Augusta of the IndyCar schedule. There's the lady that looks like she's given a water birth in the water in a little lake over there. There's an inflatable church. But yeah, I mean, this place is great. Just the elevation changes really stood out for me as my first time here, and really enjoyed seeing that. The carousel, the sweeping turns, but a lot of fun this weekend. A great track. I think it's obviously here to stay, and I do think it is a little funky, I think would be the word, to have the Indy 500 test last week and a half ago, and then, oh, hey, by the way, we still got to go to Long Beach, still got to go to Barber. Maybe a little bit of a change in the schedule to maybe have that test early on, maybe this type of weekend. But, man, I love Barber to start off kind of really the month of May here as we turn the calendar over in a few days.
Is this seriously your first time here?
My first time here. I've enjoyed it. Not my first time in Alabama. I spent my 18th birthday at Talladega, just so you know. That's another story over some beer sometime. But, yeah, great weekend. A lot of action. Shout out to Jacob Abel, who won his first Indy Next race today. He's been knocking on the door of that in his 30th start. Got a pole yesterday, got the win today. Indy Next will have a doubleheader coming up in 2 weeks at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So a lot of action this weekend, and now I can't wait to get back to my hometown, back to my home in Indianapolis, and have some fun for the month of May.
This is my 10th race here, actually. All right, no, that's it. This is my 10th race as a rider. I was here twice beforehand just to attend to the race. I love being here. This place is fantastic. It's very pristine. Like, you actually have to look around for a piece of paper. I cannot see any litter at all on the grounds. And even then, Mr. Barber actually picks up paper that he sees on the ground because his name is on the facility here. Yeah. It's tremendous, and I love being here. It's fantastic. This was the first race I ever covered as a writer 10 years ago. And so, it was fantastic to be back here as we hear the Porsche GT3 cars coming around for the start of their race coming up soon. But, this was overall a fantastic facility, a fantastic race. There's a lot of argy-bargy, as the commentators would say, and really a lot of elbows out action. Some drivers maybe get criticized because they don't fight hard enough, or they just let drivers go. But no, there was a lot of elbows out action, especially around Joseph Newgarden, who was embroiled very much so in the controversy over the past week. I'll just mention it very, very briefly. Scott McLaughlin put out a statement on social media. Will Power put out a statement on social media about everything that happened at St. Pete. Newgarden didn't do that. He waited until Friday morning to give an emotional press conference, and some drivers believed him in some parts. Some drivers said maybe not everything's the truth, and that what he was
The word
saying.
BS came up for sure.
Yes,
Once or twice.
He finished 16th today. Not one of his better results. He's won here 3 times. He knows his way around this place. Overall, not a good weekend. I think he's going to definitely look more forward to the month of May because he needed to just get back behind the wheel, and he did that. Yes, he was at one of his favorite tracks, but it just didn't work for him this weekend, and he's looking forward to turning the page that much faster as we go to the month of May in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Well, and that's the good news, is that the month of May is just around the corner, and if you are looking to come into the month of May with something to aim at, there's nothing better to aim at than defending your first Indianapolis 500 victory after many, many years of waiting. That's all the time we have, but if you want more IndyCar content or more racing content in general, go online to frontstretch.com. You can find us on YouTube at Frontstretch and our open wheel content at Frontstretch Open Wheel. The same arrangement on Twitter with Frontstretch and Frontstretch Open Wheel. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. So Tony Donohue, Christopher DeHarde, Alex Gintz, signing off from Barber Motorsport Park.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check one of those 2 videos out that we have right beside you. Visit Frontstretch.com for more great content.